When the pressure's on and the stakes are sky high, average leaders freeze, but the great ones act with clarity. In this video, we're diving into how resilient leaders make tough decisions under fire. If you're ready to lead with courage and confidence, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's level up your decision-making game. In moments of peace and prosperity, leadership may seem like a measured, strategic endeavor. But true leadership, the kind that defines legacies, is forged under pressure. When the stakes are high, the facts incomplete, and the consequences immediate, making the right decision becomes not just a skill, but a necessity. Great leaders are not remembered for what they did when everything was going smoothly. They are remembered for what they did when everything was on the line. Let's delve into the inner workings of pressure-tested decision-making by unpacking the strategies, psychology, and real-life examples from leaders who've had to make the hardest calls in the toughest moments. Understanding the nature of pressure. To make tough decisions under pressure, we must first understand what pressure does to the human mind. Neuroscience shows that under acute stress, the brain often shifts into a survival mode dominated by emotion and instinct. Cortisol levels spike, rational thinking narrows, the fight-or-flight response takes over. This biological shift is useful when reacting to danger, but it can be a liability when the situation calls for strategic thinking. Resilient leaders are not immune to these effects, but they know how to manage them. They practice awareness. They learn to pause, even briefly, to assess rather than react. The goal is not to eliminate stress, but to prevent stress from dictating the decision. Pressure in their hands becomes a catalyst for clarity. Lesson 1. Slow down to speed up. In high-stress moments, the instinct is to act quickly. But great leaders know that urgency doesn't always mean haste. One of the most counterintuitive lessons from resilient leaders is this: pause before you proceed. When the Apollo 13 mission suffered a catastrophic failure in 1970, NASA's flight director Gene Kranz didn't bark immediate orders. Instead, he famously said, "Let's work the problem, people. Let's not make things worse by guessing." His ability to create a pocket of calm amid chaos allowed his team to focus, assess the situation rationally, and make a series of life-saving decisions. This approach, taking a breath, gathering what information is available, consulting with others, prevents panic-driven mistakes. Even a few seconds of silence can reset the nervous system, invite clarity, and prepare the brain for better choices. Lesson 2. Embrace imperfection. You will rarely have all the data. One of the biggest myths in crisis decision-making is the belief that you need all the information before you act. Resilient leaders understand that in real life, you never have complete data. Waiting for certainty can lead to paralysis. And in many cases, doing nothing is worse than doing something imperfectly. During the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic, many world leaders were forced to make decisions about lockdowns, healthcare resource allocation, and public safety with incomplete or evolving data. While some delayed action awaiting more certainty, leaders like South Korea's Moon Jae-in moved swiftly, implementing mass testing and transparent communication. While not perfect, these early actions likely saved thousands of lives. Resilient leaders assess the risk of delay against the risk of imperfect action. They ask, what do we know? What do we need to know? What is the worst-case scenario if we wait? And then they move, not recklessly, but boldly. Lesson 3. Anchor to core values. When the path is unclear and options seem equally risky, resilient leaders lean into their core values. These values act like a compass, offering direction when logic alone can't determine the right move. Values clarify what matters most: people, integrity, purpose, and help leaders avoid decisions that may compromise long-term trust or ethical standards for short-term gain. Howard Schultz, during his return as CEO of Starbucks in 2008, faced enormous pressure to cut costs amid financial turmoil. The easy route would have been to slash jobs or reduce product quality. Instead, he closed thousands of stores temporarily to retrain baristas, doubling down on the company's core value, delivering a great customer experience. The decision was expensive, but it restored the brand's identity and loyalty, and the company rebounded stronger. In high-pressure moments, leaders ask themselves, which option aligns with our mission? What will I be proud of in 10 years? That alignment becomes their North Star. Lesson 4. Use a decision framework. While gut instinct has its place, resilient leaders often use structured mental models to make decisions under pressure. One popular method is the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act, developed by U.S. Air Force Colonel John Boyd. The OODA loop encourages leaders to observe the situation, orient themselves based on context and values, decide swiftly and act, then repeat the loop as new information emerges. Another method is first principles thinking, popularized by Elon Musk. This approach breaks a problem down to its most fundamental truths and builds up from there. In crisis, leaders who use structured thinking avoid relying solely on analogies or past habits, which may no longer apply. By having a repeatable mental model, decisions become less reactive and more strategic, even when time is limited. Lesson 5. Consult the right people, but avoid the committee trap. Resilient leaders know they don't have to go it alone. They seek input, but strategically. In times of pressure, gathering every opinion can slow down decisions and breed confusion. Instead, they identify key voices, trusted advisors, subject matter experts, frontline leaders, and ask targeted questions. Wartime leaders have often depended on a small war room of advisors. Abraham Lincoln, during the American Civil War, maintained a cabinet of rivals, people who disagreed with him. Why? Because he understood the value of hearing multiple sides before making a final decision. At the same time, resilient leaders avoid the committee trap, where decision-making becomes diluted by compromise. They listen, then they decide, and they take responsibility for that decision, no matter the outcome. Tough decisions define great leadership, and now you have the tools resilient leaders use to thrive under pressure. If this helped sharpen your mindset, drop a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more real-world leadership lessons that empower you to lead boldly, no matter the pressure.